so much gloom hiding the reality. It's just a beautiful day. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's just yeah, it's a beautiful day. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's just yeah. Take a look into the sky. Take a look into the sky.
Look in the sky.
Keep your head up high.
High. Keep your head high.
Take a look into the sky.
Off and running on this Thursday edition of Gulfstream Today. Good to have you with us, everybody. Jason Blue and Acacia Courtney alongside as this big Pegasus week and the countdown to Saturday's $16 million Pegasus continues today with an 11-race card.
It certainly does. And, of course, today is the day of the Eclipse Awards this evening, hosted right here at Gulfstream Park in the Sport of Kings Theater. And we'll see what everybody assumes will be the coronation of Gunrunner as Horse of the Year. And as Steve Asmussen so aptly said, hopefully Horse of the Year on Thursday and a chance to prove it on Saturday.
In his final career start, the mighty Gunrunner, and yesterday morning, about 24 hours ago, he drew post number 10 of 12 in the second running of the 9-furlong Pegasus. A very, very and much talked about and publicized short run into that first turn with Florent Giroux. So we'll see what kind of trip Gunrunner, the 4-5 morning line favorite, works out in the Pegasus, which will go, Acacia's race 12 of 12 on Saturday's blockbuster card.
It will. We'll start here with first post at 11:30 a.m., so don't miss out on that. It's just so much quality, some guaranteed pools as well on Saturday for Pegasus World Cup Day. You can catch it on NBC as well from 4:30 to 6. We will, of course, be trying to bring you all of the good information and up-to-date details throughout the afternoon, and we're just so excited to be part of it.
Couldn't be any more excited. And you talk about a rider being pumped up and excited, and arguably the world's hottest, most white-hot jockey right now, as of this second. It's got to be Luis Saez, who's coming out of a 7-win. 7 victories yesterday here at Gulfstream Park. He'll be riding the fan favorite and local boy of ours in Gunnevera. And here's a look back at Luis, who again tied, well, to one of his peers and one of the greatest riders of all time yesterday afternoon.
He did indeed. Jerry Bailey set that record back on a Florida Derby day. What was the year? Do you know that? What year he set that?
No, I think it was 96, actually. I feel 96 or 97.
And just this summer, Tyler Gaffalione did tie it. And yesterday, you could see Luis Saez as it kept going and going and going. And everybody was kind of holding their breath a bit to see if he was going to make it to 7. And he wanted to make it to 7. And he got there. Indeed, you can see the 7 fingers and all smiles. Understandably so.
Arcelor, his final mount on the day, would have been so great. He didn't have a call in yesterday's 11th race, so I was a little bummed about that, but that didn't take away from the cool, just the cool vibe throughout the stands here on track yesterday at Gulfstream with Luis Saez, a native of Panama, who again is already at 65 wins for this meet alone. We're only at January 25th. We're running through the day after the Florida Derby. I think that's April 1st, and when you consider Luis had a breakout winter here last season with 102 wins, assuming he stays healthy, and that's a big part of the question and of course the battle, but he should obliterate that 102 victories.
It's really incredible, and as you said, he really burst onto the scene last year, passing Javier Castellano to win the meet title for championship meet here at Gulfstream as far as leading rider, and it looks like he's out for it again this year and is moving in the right direction. Of course, these are athletes. They are some of the toughest guys around that do ride these horses every single day, and it's just really incredible to watch him and watch that fire too that so many of the jockeys have, and Luis just riding so incredibly well.
Just always seems to be in the perfect spot, and he's a rider that capitalizes on maybe mistakes or misfortune or bad luck of some of his competition. So we'll see him in race number 2 today, his first mount on this Thursday. We are fast and firm, by the way, and money, 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 as we give you a little rundown as to what's on tap. It all begins a little after 12:35 with the opening high five in race number 1 on the turf. Pretty competitive Florida-bred, older allowance optional claimer on the green at a 2-turn turf mile, and that is the starting point, obviously, of the 50-cent early pick 5. And then as we get the old Thursday drum roll, boom.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
You need it today. 3.285 million. Yes, million. And we keep reminding you, everybody does ask kind of frequently. If you're looking for that mandatory payout, it will be January 28th, this Sunday, the day after Pegasus, if it continues to carry. As of right now, though, we're going to try that Rainbow Six, $3.2 million plus, and then, of course, we wrap things up with the 50 cent late pick 5.
Anchored by what could be a very, very heavy favorite and chalky winner and Run Blondie Run in today's nightcap for Zayed Stables, Bill Mott and Jose Ortiz. Just note John Velasquez off the mounts that he had on today's program. We heard he's still up in the Big Apple, didn't get down to South Florida yet, and obviously we hope to see Johnny V with us back here tomorrow. Now, the first race didn't have a mount for Luis Saez. We'll see him riding for Brendan Walsh in the second, but this first race is a good one, a field of 8 as we start this fast and firm Thursday, and I'm wondering with that key Army and rematch off the finale here on January 5th, who you used and how many are you using in the first?
Well, I'm going to use some coverage. I wanted to have 4 in here.
Yep.
I am going to use the rematch horses. You've got Bowtie Affair, who's coming in and loves the track here. And then I have a long shot play today, and that's the 4 Favorite Air on the drop. I think that this horse is better than his last 2 races, and he's a bit of a price play for me. So I am going to use him. Couldn't leave my long shot off. Going too deep in race number 2, I think Burton and Tomato Gator are the big 2. I have Luis Saez in his first call on the day. And race number 3, going to go with 3 deep, though it looks like Frank the Butcher is potentially the one to beat a little bit further on down the road in the 3rd race. Going 2 deep in the 4th, and then 2 deep in the 5th race. Just so happens I have Irad Ortiz on the 2, Close the Deal, and Jose Ortiz on the 7, Proud O'Patty.
And that is a scenario that will present itself in the world's richest thoroughbred race here Saturday with trainer Jorge Navarro, who has older Erad riding Sharp Azteca, who's a distant second choice on the Pegasus morning line at 6-1, and then younger brother Jose, who is one of 3 finalists for champion jockey, and we hope Jose wins it tonight at the Eclipse Awards right here at Gulfstream Park. He will be aboard the late closing War Story, who you got to appreciate his longevity and his durability, I think.
He certainly does, and he's pretty solid. He's got that late running, grinding running style, which really could be conducive to the mile and an eighth and that pace scenario.
All right, well, we don't go a mile and an eighth in the first. We just go 8 furlongs, and that's on the turf with this Florida bred, A other than allowance optional claimer. Needless to say, our opening spotlight and race replay on today's edition of Gulfstream Today concerns the finale back on January 5th, where you've basically got close to a handful of runners who were more or less right next to one another for a good chunk of the stretch drive.
They are, and we're going to focus on Without Remorse and Thuristic, the 2 outside runners who come out of here. Thuristic, the number 1, he's along the inside. Without Remorse is the number 7 in here. He was forwardly placed along the rail. Salute the Colonel, also running in this race, was the number 8. He was last early, and if we can just freeze right there, we'll just highlight there, Salute the Colonel. He makes that later run. Without Remorse, the number 7, really did get the jump on him. And here's Thuristic, who's just been so solid, so good. He was stepping up in class last time as we let it roll down to the wire. Stepping up in class last time, snuck in along the rail there under Edgar Zayas and couldn't catch, driven by Thunder. But I thought he really has proved himself.
He has, and that's what I like about Thuristic, and clearly you do as well. Now, you take the good with the bad. He's a short price contender, and he's coming out of a perfect trip and a perfect ride, and he moves off the rail. But on the flip side of all those potential slight negatives, he's in career form, and he's never been better, sharper, or healthier for current trainer Bobby DeBona. And I'm curious to see how he does against the likes of Salute the Colonel, who may have took the worst of it, just losing so much ground, and obviously he was right there at the wire, and I love the ride Carlos Montalvo put forth on the 7 Without Remorse. It just seemed like he tried to save as much ground as possible and only angled outside in the stretch, even though he got the jump on Salute the Colonel once they straightened away and he could actually get outside without having to give up any ground.
Yeah, certainly did, and I think Carlos really handles this horse well, and there's a lot going on in this race for sure. You have the 6 Bowtie Affair, who does like it here at Gulfstream. He's 2 for 5 on this turf course. In fact, Jose Lascano will have the call on this one, and I alluded to Favorite Air. Just think the drop in class. The last time he ran about this level, it was a win. I know it was with Lily Cartnitz, but he's just been running against tougher competition.
All right, sounds good. Nice little race to get things underway on this Thursday at Gulfstream, and beautiful weather to match. Let's move on to race number 2. We hit the main track, field of 6, ready to roll in this 3-year-old $16,000 maiden claimer, and Luis Saez's first mount on the day, riding for Brendan Walsh, who in fact, train Luis's final winner on yesterday's card, his 7th and final in Arcelor. And in the case of Burton, who we both picked, in fact, it's a cold 8-2 double for Acacia to start. I feel, though, as though looking at his last in hindsight, mile was just way too far for him.
I totally agree. I love the turn back in distance. I like that he gets a drop in class. I think that's going to be helpful for him. It's a lot happening at once. The drop, the turn back, the blinkers come off, a lot of changes. But Luis has ridden him in his last couple of starts. The mile was too far. And here's a little bit of homework for you, too. If Burton runs well, King Billy, the runaway winner of that race that he does come out of, we'll see later on in race 4. So we'll see kind of what we get from him a little bit later, as he won that race by more than 10 lengths.
Little birdie told me 2-3, 5-4, the way to go in race number 2. We'll see. Cold super for Miss Acacia and myself. Now let's move on to the third. We stay on the main track. We'll flip the page and bring on these older $12,500 maiden claimers who will meet at this demanding 7-furlong distance on the dirt. Scratch the number 6, Big Fridge. That leaves us with a field of 7. And at least off the bat,
It's a fun name.
It's a great name. Well, you got what I got a kick out of was just seeing the 5-horse and Frank the Butcher, and then on to the 6, Big Fridge. So only one of them's running, and Frank the Butcher, one of 2 very key first-time drop-downs, so to speak, but first-time maiden special weight to maiden claiming drop-downs who were coming off lengthy layoffs. In the case of Run for the Cup, the other one in the race, he hasn't run since last year's Pegasus Day on January 28th, 2017.
Yeah, and if you talk about coming out of a strong race, he has certainly faced the toughest competition. That was a very deep field, and Looking for 8 went on to run in the Fountain of Youth, and 4 next out winners, in fact, from that race. It's been a year since he's run. So I took the wait-and-see approach with him. I did land on the 5, Frank the Butcher, and you don't like to see a horse that's half to fast Anna and just out of dreaming of Anna, just so well-bred, running against special weight competition. I'm also a vegetarian, so this was tough for me, but I think on the drop, and again, these are just connections that like to put horses where they can win. Last couple of races, he hasn't shown up, and so they just drop him in where they can be successful.
And it'd be nice to see, in a way, Frank the Butcher get it done here with Luis Saez, by the way, as Dreaming of Anna, the dam, passed away last week, I read, at the age of 14, a former Eclipse Award winning 2-year-old filly champion and a very good horse. We'll see. You've got Angel Rodriguez off the trainer change. If you like Navarro's horse, the 4 XY Runner, I think you're going, you know what, I want somebody who's going to be fast enough to potentially control, and I want the early speed.
He will be the speed for sure. He does come out of a good race. I think he was flattered, but in 3rd man in, came back to win again, and he does pick up Javier Castellano.
My idea, and I get if someone's out there going, you know what, the 7, Mr. Sultana, just can't run at all.
No, I think he can.
This is a horse who just has got that wise guyish look to me. For no other reason, if for no other reason, the first off the bat is the trader change over to Marcus Vitale, who's really enjoyed a pretty big meet thus far at Gulfstream Park, rejoining the training colony here in South Florida. That's good enough for me to just say, you know what, first time Vitale, horse will be an okay price with Erad. I'm going to take a shot with Mr. Sultana.
Yeah, anytime you can get a little bit of a price on Erad Ortiz, that's always good. He's also a gelding right now. If you remember when I put my Pick 5 ticket together, I did include this horse for all those reasons you mentioned.
All right, sounds good. Let's move on to race number 4. More main track races early on. We main track it again in this 3-year-old 4th race today, a $50,000 starter optional claimer at a 1-turn mile. Maybe, and in 2020 hindsight, of course, and not having a horse who paid about $30, could we be dealing with a super live race with Miago and the 5 Stronger after watching Charge Card come out of that race yesterday at around 13, 14 to 1 and blow up a field, paying a big price with an 81 buyer? I prefer Stronger of the 2 coming out, and I know you do as well, as it just seems like this is where he belongs.
It certainly does. And looking at him last time out, I actually thought he made an excellent physical impression. He wasn't overmatched as far as comparing where those horses were at the time. Noble Indy and Mississippi were, I think, stronger race horses and maybe more experienced and perhaps a little bit a step above. They put on a show certainly ahead of the rest of the field. Tip Sheet ran solidly in there, and I thought Stronger, given how far ahead the top two were, actually ran okay. Dropping in, he's certainly, I think, in the right spot today. If you look, he was third in the smooth air 2 starts back. He broke his maiden impressively here at Gulfstream. It just looks like he's meeting the right spot today. But Miago has been solid too, and I think the drop and running in this position is going to help him as well.
And I don't think a mile for Miago needs to be questioned here.
Right.
He seems like a horse who, if the competition is the right level for him and it's right for his competing, that he'll be able to stay this grinding sort of 1 mile distance, whereas some of the others in here at this level might have a bit of a tougher time. We'll see what we get out of the inside runner, King Billy, who's out of a daylight victory going this 1-turn mile, and a rare claim these days by trainer Alan Iwinski, who's 2 for 20 with first off the claim runners over the last 5 years.
I saw the same exact stat, and this is the race I was alluding to that Burton does come out of. We'll see him earlier in race 2, but we'll see first off the claim how he fares against some more tested horses.
All right, to the turf we go. 3-year-old fillies up next as we cash out the early 5 with these $35,000 maiden claimers going a 2-turn mile on the turf. Big scratch in terms of potential race flow and pace in the form of the 3 Pray, Pray, Pray. And lo and behold, I really hope your opinions are good early, because if they are, I'm probably sitting on a bunch of winners. We're in agreement again, at least as far as the top spot goes, with the number 2 Close the Deal in race number 5.
Well, hopefully we can close the deal here and close out that early pick 5 with a win. Got the late pick 5 yesterday. Ron actually hit the Rainbow 6. Apparently we only do it on the same days with our tickets.
Right.
I mean, we don't cheat beforehand, I promise that. But I think Close the Deal actually comes out of a solid race. Newman's Fast Girl was just sitting on that big performance. Big race, 2 starts back actually at Gulfstream Park West. This filly's just been knocking on the door. The slight class relief plus picking up Erad once again, I think is plus.
All right, Erad could be sitting on a big day as well as you start to talk about these races and discuss them, sitting on a number of live mounts early on, and he'll ride the full card. And speaking of full cards, we are far from done. Rainbow 6 time after this quick timeout.
Pennsylvania, proud of our growing breeding and racing industry. Tens of thousands of jobs with a massive economic impact. Now, North America's most lucrative awards program will pay a 50% breeder award for PA-sired, PA-bred maidens who run first, second, or third, with 25% for non-PA-sired PA-breds. Plus, up to 40% in owner bonuses, 400-plus restricted races, and our program has paid out $30 million for the 6th straight year. Breeding and racing in Pennsylvania. It's a winner.
On January 27th, the world's richest thoroughbred horse race returns. The Pegasus World Cup Invitational. 12 of the world's best horses compete for a record $16 million purse. It's an unforgettable entertainment experience you won't want to miss. At Gulfstream Park, one of Florida's premier entertainment destinations. Tickets on sale now at PegasusWorldCup.com.
And we hope to see you out here with us at Gulfstream Park. Those big days, big racing days, best horses in training, they always are the ones that leave lasting memories and lifelong impressions. And I was thinking last night about my first quote-unquote big day at the races. It was September. I looked up the date, September 18th, 1993 at Belmont Park, Super Saturday. It poured. I mean, it was a sea of slop. Turf was soft, but Holy Bull was a 2-year-old, beat the hair, and Bertrando wound up winning the Woodward, which was the feature that day, by about 13.5 lengths beneath Gary Stevens, which when you consider Gary was at the top of his game then and he's riding in Saturday's Pegasus on giant expectations, it's just, it's pretty unbelievable.
That's awesome. Well, my first day at the races was not exactly quite as quality filled, but it certainly was fun. I grew up going to the fair races at Northampton, and I remember the first bet I ever placed, I had my dad placed it. Get My Glitter was the name of the filly.
Get My
It was
Glitter.
a
Very
great
fitting.
horse. I even saw Zippy Chippy run as a kid
Oh,
at one
that's
of the
pretty
fair
cool.
races, which is pretty fun.
No,
Yeah.
I know the Courtneys love the game, that's for sure. Mom and Dad are probably watching this show as we speak, and if that's the case, you hit the late pick 5 yesterday, so let's keep it going in the
All
Rainbow.
right. Well, yes, the Rainbow is the way to do it. $3.2 million plus in the carryover, and I didn't end up singling Run Blondie Run, though I think that she will be a huge favorite later on. I wanted to use 3 horses to start things off, I think we have some really top barns, obviously, in the mix. Oxbro, great name, ran a very good race last time out for Dale Romans. Race number 7, going to go 2 deep in there. King Powered and Entangled just look to be the top ones for me. We'll see if Third Man In can stretch out. He's the one I was a little bit nervous about leaving off. Going to go 4 deep in race number 8. That is a very quality maiden special weight field for the fillies. Race 9, excuse me, that's going to be my single just for better or worse. I think Two Step Blues, sitting on a big performance for Victor Barbosa Jr., picks up Jose Ortiz. Just really think she's in the right spot today. Going 3 deep in race number 10, and I will go 3 deep in the 11th race because not only I think Run Blondie Run will be in the right spot, but I really am very intrigued by Jeremiah Jewell for Dale Roman. So I'll include that one and another one, 43.20.
And you've got plenty of Dale on this ticket, too, because the 3 Oxbro dude, he's going to start as one of the favorites, if not the favorite, in this upcoming 6th race today. A 3-year-old 20K maiden claimer on the turf. And any way you slice it, Armchair Jockey and this horse put on a good show last time out on January 6th.
They did 2 great names in Armchair Jockey and Oxbro, excuse me, obviously a son of Ox Bo, and we're going to go back to this race. He was the number 4. He broke sharply, secured a spot along the rail, picking it up at the quarter pole. Ended up dueling with the number 12. He's a leader who obviously was hard sent from that outside post. And Armchair Jockey is the number 2, if we can freeze right there. Of course, there he is in the Ramsey colors, whereas Oxbro had never really had a breather at all up front. And if we let it roll there down to the wire, so I thought he actually had a little bit of a tougher trip, while Armchair Jockey could kind of make that sweeping move at the end, but he held on pretty gamely.
It was an excellent turf debut, any way you slice it. He's just a major player today in a race that probably has 3.5 major players. Oxbro the first, maybe a peripheral kind of contender is the speedy kid, Matt Cool, who does have trainer Cheryl.
I put that one on because of that.
Yeah, no, with Cheryl Weinbau or Bo in the mix. She's 3 for 17 here at the meet. Her horses have overachieved. None of them have really been bet, and they have, I think, far exceeded many people's opinions going in.
I think so too, and you even mentioned the big winner yesterday. I saw some big prices a couple weeks ago as well, and I've noticed the horses come looking fit and healthy, and obviously some really good horsemanship behind the scenes.
Then moving on to the other 2 that are going to take play, Joran in from Tampa and the 7 High Risk Strategy for Chad Brown. Now in the case of Joran, you get Jose Ortiz. You also have trainer Jonathan Thomas with a second-time starter. I thought got a great ride from Jesus Castanon in his debut at Tampa, making a bold inside move. That was a good stepping stone to this second start, and when you combine that race with this stat, just straight up maiden second-time starters for Jonathan Thomas, you're looking at a very, very live son of Uncle Mo.
Yeah, certainly agree. This horse certainly looks well meant. Out of an unraced mare by Henry the Navigator, by Uncle Mo, but they paid good money for him, $320,000. Of course, with that price tag, debuting for the tag, you have some questions, but I think he's well spotted in his second start.
Definitely in for the 20K, and I'm hoping the 20K drop helps the 7, my top pick, High Risk Strategy. I see Chad's name, turf race. I give that horse, no matter who the horse is, what the level is, a longer look, and one more chance getting the blinkers on. I just feel this horse probably has more to give. I'm hoping he has more to give, and could be a good spot for High Risk Strategy, who you obviously use in your Rainbow 6. As we move on to race number 7, 5 more remain, and it's all about Thursday's late 5 and the Rainbow from race 7 on. My ticket as far as a play, and I think this card is going to chalk out in the end. I really do. Run Blondie Run would have been 2 I would have considered, along with the now scratched Mackenzie Capri in the nightcap today. But I think, and I don't know what kind of price she's going to be, I thought Navarro's horse Battletail in race 10. Did you take Battletail on top?
I think I did, yes.
She's going to be, I think, and she's a clear favorite on the morning line, but I think she's going to be a prohibitive favorite in the right kind of field. So, you know, I hate coming on and saying, well, I think the late double's going to pay $8, but that ultimately might happen with Battletail and Run Blondie Run in the back end of the card today, and therefore I've got 2 singles, and that enabled me to go a little deeper in these opening 3 legs, and including a spread in this 7th race that has really a number of early speed pace types, including King Power, and even going this mile, maybe a horse like the 6 Entangled. And then you've got the drop down in Joshua's Comprise.
Did you use him on your ticket?
I threw him on the ticket. Yeah,
Could
he
be the
was one
day.
of 4. Well, he may get a fast pace, and there's no truth to the rumor they wanted this horse to be one of the AEs in the Pegasus, by the way. But he's been in some insane spots, and always seems when they finally get to where he belongs that he'll run a little bit.
The last time he ran for 12.5, he won the race, and that was back in July. It was back in July of 2016. He had 21 starts in 2017. Excuse me, July of 2017 was his last win. He ran in the Harlan's Holiday and this Millions Classic preview. He's been running against far, far tougher fields. The drop certainly makes him jump off the page in here. I, like you, went to the horse first off the claim for Gilberto Zerpa, Misael Jaramillo in the saddle and Entangled. Just anytime this barn dips in to claim a horse, you immediately take a second look.
And Pro Meat beat him to the punch last time, or Promete, not going to hold that loss against him that much. And going from one top barn to another, not a knock on Ralph Nix, but every now and then a change of scenery does, I think, everybody quite good. And judging from this stat we have pulled for you, this is a move and a change of scenery to an operation that just quite simply does really well and bats at a wickedly high percentage first off the claim. And although the ROI with that 30% strike rate is obviously pretty low, you're not going to be looking at a crazy 3 to 5 shot off the claim of Entangled here due to the presence of King Power and even the outside horse who's been so good since shipping down from Woodbine in Third Man In.
Third Man In won his last 2 races. Again, the stretch out in distance is going to be the question for him, as he went 7 and then 6.5 last time out. So he's stretching out to the mile. He won at the 7 furlong, so mile just a little bit extra going around that one turn out of the chute. But I think King Power, who, yes, he's stepping up in class, but the way that he won that race last time out, he certainly fits at this level. And interesting, they had actually entered him to run on the turf on Sunday. Scratched opted to keep him on the dirt in here today. He's got early speed, and Armando de la Cerda has just been doing so well this week.
His horses, even the ones that have been narrowly beaten, all seem to be running gigantic. And I'm anxious to see what we get out of King Power today, because his last race is going to win this race today. Was it a bit of a fluke? One of those days when he just got to the lead at Gulfstream and Freak? We learn a bit more about his recent form coming up in today's 7th, which even for those lower level 12.5 claimers, it's a pretty fascinating race. It's
really
a good little race, and Joshua's Comprise, as silly as it sounds, adds a layer of intrigue there. Now, race number 8, my favorite race on the card today. Solid crew of older filly mares in this Turf Maiden Special 8 out of Mayona 16th, and you've got some horses who have run pretty well here. Maybe none more well than the number 2 Miss Munnings, who lost a tough one 2 back against the boys, and man, did she lose a tough one last time out.
She really did, and we'll show that race. And yes, she was beaten as the favorite, but she was running against the Chad Brown drop-down runner in Peace Front in there. There she is, the number 5. She's just been so solid, and I almost kind of can be a little bit forgiving of this race last time out, because she came off of an extended layoff about 7 months, ran a huge race, beaten just a neck behind the boys. You can see her here. She's got that awesome white face, the number 5, closing so strongly. She actually took the lead, and Peace Front came back, the number 3, which is amazing. Again, it was a Chad Brown horse that was dropping in class, and maybe Miss Munning slightly regressed second off the bench out of a big effort against the boys.
Maybe she did. You normally don't see horses who look like they're going to win going away and get almost a length on one of their inside rivals. You rarely see them lose with that rival then returning and rebidding to win, but that was the case with Miss Munnings, who fits obviously quite snugly. The 8-horse Love Thy Kitten didn't do much running first time out, and a case of, was she 5-1 in an 11-horse field because she can run a little bit, or was it more Maker at the time and Saya's money? I don't know. But she did strike me as a Kitten's Joy homebred for the Ramseys, who in hindsight and just watching that race likely needed that race. She just seemed a little green on her inside lead, never really finished up with any punch. If she can run a little bit, I think obviously today she's really going to take a step forward.
And she certainly could. Normally we don't see first-time starters win at first asking for Mike Maker. They usually tend to have a race or 2 under their belt, and then they start to get very, very good. Takes a more patient approach. I know that first-time starters on the turf maybe not the most common or productive move for Barkley Tagg either, but this filly, the number 4 Highland Lady, really intrigued me. She's been working really good works on the Palm Meadows turf course. She's also the half-sister to Grade 1 placed Highland Sky, who Barkley also trained. That was a nice turf runner. He won first time out, so there is precocity in the family as well. The dam was very good, so pedigree just really intrigued me with this one.
They've been a long-time team, co-owner and breeder, Bonner Young and Barkley. They have had a number of top-class horses together, and I'd like to see, I like those Bonner Young homebreds. I like Barkley too. Hopefully that horse comes out running and definitely has the potential to be okay today. 9th race on the card. Let's get on to our 1 mile Florida bred turf race here for older fillies and mares in this optional claimer, A other than allowance race. And looking around, I feel as though you've got the top 2 I use, first and third. I think there's a good chance that Two Step Blues, and if the 2-month layoff and freshening with Miquaima gets her back to her better races, I really feel they are in a different category than everybody else.
Yes, they do look like it. And Miquaima, she's got a rebound from those last couple of races. And you can't even look at it and argue that she didn't like Gulfstream Park West, because she ran a big race at Gulfstream West 2 starts back. That being said, she's got that early speed, and she can show up with a big performance when she's good. And I like to see Edgar Zayas up again, because I think he handles her well. Two Step Blues, last time out, she ran behind Solfatara, who's just been on fire, and it was a sealed sloppy track race. 2 starts back, she totally had her momentum cut off in the stretch with Sober on Sunday, and it was really a 2-horse race coming down to the stretch. So I think that she's sitting on a big performance today.
Yeah, she's been a real nice claim on the turf for Victor Barboza Jr., no doubt about that. And then we move back to trainer Jorge Navarro, and I had mentioned one of my 2 singles in my late pick 5 happens to be in race 10. The more I looked around, although the loss last time was vicious, and it looked like she was going to win that race here on January 5th, she can stay. And I'm talking about the 6 Battle Tale. The mile on dirt is her game, and I think she's done a little more in terms of ability and past accomplishments than many others in this race.
She has. She ran in the Glass Slipper 2 starts back, and she was running behind Mended, who was just putting
buzzsaw.
Exactly, that's a perfect word for her. Came back last time out, beaten a nose. You're absolutely right, it was a tough beat, but she looks to be just a step above.
She really does. And Marmalade might be the 2nd most talented horse, or maybe, you know, co-most talented runners. Not my cup of tea, though. Short price contender trying the dirt for the first time.
She is. She's run well on the synthetic at Presque Isle Downs, and I'm just a fan of this horse because I remember seeing her during last year's Gulfstream Park West meet. And Frances McNeely, she does a great job with a limited number of runners, and I think that this horse might be the sneaky in the race.
All right, Run Blondie Run. We'll try to close out the day a big favorite as we cap the card on this Eclipse Awards Thursday at GP with a group of maiden 20 older filly and mare maiden claimers, and again, big early scratch of Mackenzie Capri.
It really was, and we'll backtrack to Run Blondie Run's last race. You'll see Mackenzie Capri noted in there. She was a scratch. I thought she would be the main danger to Run Blondie Run, who is the number 9 up there in the Zayat Silk. She gets the blinkers on today, and maybe that's going to make all the difference. But you can see she's chasing a 90-to-1 shot in Judicious, which everybody was kind of watching this race, wondering if this horse was going to stop, and Judicious never stopped. It's really incredible. Just couldn't catch the leader. Of course, Mackenzie Capri was closing. Run Blondie Run ran solidly. Again, maybe just the blinkers are going to help her to get on by.
It is now or never against this field. I think it really is that cut and dried, and I can be blunt there. She's going to be in the neighborhood of 4 to 5 or so, if not a little shorter. And again, no Mackenzie Capri means it's a green light for Run Blondie Run as we give a green light to Pete Aiello. Looking spiffy today. It's Eclipse Awards Day, folks, here at Gulfstream Park. He's coming up next with those Thursday scratches and changes.